Welcome to Rising Up for Justice, a special weekly series presented by Rising Up with Sonali, an independently produced subscriber-supported program syndicated to radio stations, free speech TV, and podcast platforms. I'm Sonali Kolhatkar, host and executive producer. Our nation and our world are overrun by billionaires and bigots, but they are few and we are many. On this series, exclusive to subscribers of Rising Up with Sonali and viewers of Free Speech TV, you'll hear conversations with change makers in the movements for social justice, and we'll dig into the nuts and bolts of values, strategies, tactics, narratives, and building power. This week on Rising Up for Justice, Alex Lawson, the executive director of SocialSecurityWorks, joins me. SocialSecurityWorks fights to protect and expand Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and to lower prescription drug prices. Welcome to the program, Alex.
Thank you so much for having me, Sonali.
So I gave the brief description of SocialSecurityWorks right now. Contrary to its name, it goes a little bit beyond the social safety net program that most of us hope we will live long enough to take advantage of. But let's start a little bit with the history of SocialSecurityWorks. When was it founded and why was it founded?
So SocialSecurityWorks was founded in 2010 to fight against the austerity movement that was happening at that time, mainly in the form of the BS Commission, the Bowles-Simpson Commission, that was a long-held dream of DC elites and Wall Street billionaires, is the so-called grand bargain, which is actually just a grand betrayal of the American people. And it's just a way of achieving Social Security cuts, which are deeply unpopular. So they create undemocratic, unaccountable methods, a closed-door commission to achieve those incredibly unpopular goals. And we were formed to shine a light on it. We were very little at the time. And I will just say, one of the first things I did was just stood outside the closed door with a cell phone, live streaming the closed door of the commission every week as they gathered and getting little interviews as Paul Ryan and his ilk entered and exited. And that busted the whole thing open. Alan Simpson, the late Alan Simpson, got fed up with it, gave us an impromptu interview where he admitted that what they were doing was plotting on how to steal our Social Security benefits. And then we defeated that, and there's a lot more history in there. But that is the origin story of SocialSecurityWorks. I'll also, though, point out, just for your introduction, SocialSecurityWorks is our name. But we do a lot more, because if you actually go to the New Deal and you look at the writings of Francis Perkins, who's the brains of the New Deal, and you look at the speeches of FDR and Eleanor Roosevelt and Wilbur J. Cohen and Arthur Altmaier and all of the New Dealers, it was a movement. And it was built on movements that came before, like Eugene Debs and other social movements that were pushing for a country that worked for the people and not the billionaires. So everything that we do is actually directly in the original intent of the Social Security Act and especially the New Deal. So fighting to guarantee health care for every person in this country is absolutely part of the original vision of Social Security, of the New Deal, which is an ever-expanding system of economic security for everyone in this country.
And I'm so glad you put that into context, because I was certainly going to ask you about the history of Social Security itself. And we don't today think of Americans as having the right to health care, right? It's something that's considered a privilege, which to people outside the U.S. seems so bizarre and barbaric. But Social Security is something that we do take for granted because we've had it. And yet, as you pointed out, a couple decades ago, it began to be under attack quite openly from our elected officials, and it's been under attack again and again. So we've taken for granted that when we turn 65, all of this income that's been taken out of our checks, our paychecks, that's been set aside and pooled for the greater good is something we're going to be able to draw from. Let's talk a little bit about the logic of Social Security specifically before we get into all of the ways in which it gets attacked. It has been referred to in more recent years as entitlements, and I know that your organization takes great issue with that. Why do you take issue with that term, and what is your preferred terminology?
We follow the people who understand that this is just an earned benefit. It's our money. So either one of those is fine. Our money, earned benefit. No one gives us Social Security. That's the point. We pay in during our working lives, and then it's there for us when we need it. If we no longer have wages because we retire, then it's there for us. If we no longer have wages because we face a life-changing illness or injury and become disabled and can no longer work, then it's there for us. In the death of a breadwinner, for the surviving children who need the wages replaced of the breadwinner, it's there for them in the form of survivor's benefits. So it is a much larger program than most people understand. For example, those survivor benefits, that the magnitude of Social Security is such that it is the largest children's program in the country, even though most people don't even really consciously understand that survivors' benefits are there. That's sort of the beauty of a social insurance program, is that it is insurance. You're paying premiums into it, building an asset that is there for you. And it's really important. I'm not going to get super nerdy, but if I do, just rein me in. But the history of social insurance, going all the way back to Otto von Bismarck and the Bavarian monks before him, actually, is critical. It is a critical step in humanity's evolution to create a more stable society. And what it is you say, don't let finance into this. Don't let Wall Street into this system. Keep Wall Street out. Remember, Social Security was born out of the depths of the Great Depression. Wall Street banks had just collapsed the world economy in a way and a magnitude that no one had ever seen before. The fundamental ability of America to continue was questioned at the time. Around the world, countries were leaving democracy and democratic ideals and embracing ever more authoritarianism. In America, that was happening as well. And you had the plutocrats, the billionaire class at the time, as always, they're like, I think probably democracy's run its course. We crashed the world economy. We don't want to pay the piper. Let's put it on the people. But the New Dealers, building on social movements going back to the origin of our country and before, were building on an understanding that you have to choose between a country that works for the many, the people, or a country that works for the few, the billionaires. And obviously the billionaires want it to just work for them. And every time they get their way, they crash the whole thing because they never say that's enough. They have a black hole where their soul should be, or their empathy, and they try to fill it with money, but it's a yawning chasm of, lack of humanity. So it's never filled. So they just take and take and take until the people stand up and say no more. And that's what happened in the New Deal. Francis Perkins was like, we cannot allow Wall Street, the billionaires, to have their fingers in this pot. It has to be the people's and the people's alone. So we're also going to exclude the politicians from Social Security. It's not funded by the income tax or the general fund. It is a self-funded program. It is the working people of America who own Social Security completely. And that's the key part of not only where we are right now, but where we have to go in the future, is understanding that this system is fundamentally ours. And any attempt to cut our benefits is just the billionaires continuing their 90-year-long attack on a system that works for working people. Therefore, they hate it. And they want to reach their hands into our pockets and steal our money by cutting our benefits.
I don't think I've ever heard such an eloquent description of the souls of billionaires, and I really appreciate that. And I think it's important to remind ourselves of this history because the reason why we have Social Security is because billionaires got their hands in, and in order to protect it, we have to ensure that billionaires never get their hands into it. And yet, if you look at the news coverage and some of the data around it, we're told Social Security is going to run out of money by 2032. That's in less than 10 years. And Congress is going to, at the very least, going to have to take some action to shore it up. People are living longer, and that is absolutely true, right? It's 65 and over. Many people tend to live decades past that. This is me as a layperson expressing this. And so is it true that Social Security is running out of money and that Congress needs to take action?
So it's important to really look at this and understand the facts of the case. So first of all, people aren't living longer. Some people are living longer. Rich people are definitely living longer, but poorer people, people of color, Black Americans, they've seen their life expectancy plateau and sometimes go the wrong way. The United States has the lowest life expectancy of all of the advanced nations. The important numbers in Social Security are actually how long you're projected to live after you hit the full retirement age, which is not 65, it's 67 right now. Because
Thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah, in 65 you get Medicare.
Right.
67 is full retirement age for Social Security, and that was increased by 2 years in 1983. And this is this is hard, but that is just a benefit cut. It's not like a benefit cut. It is an across-the-board benefit cut because of the way that Social Security benefits are calculated. So you can take Social Security as early as 62, but for every year that you take your benefits before your full retirement age, it's a 7% reduction in benefits forever. And on the other side, if you delay, so you go 68, 69, 70, it's a 7% benefit increase in your benefits forever. And so that's really important to understand that raising the retirement age is just cutting our benefits. So it is true that some people are living longer, totally true, but that's not at all what drives the problem that we're facing with Social Security. And you don't have to believe me. You can go to the chief actuary of Social Security, Google. He's the former now, but he has the most clear analysis. Steve Goss, life expectancy, Social Security. You'll see all of it was factored in. So the trust fund is very different than Social Security. So when you say Social Security is running out of money, that's also false. Social Security can never run out of money because as long as there's people working and paying into the system, then there's money for the system. But what we've done through the 90-year history of Social Security is each generation pre-funds their own retirement. So we pay a little bit more for ourselves. And then the actuaries, who are people who project out life expectancy, things like that, and they're actually scarily accurate. They predicted the life expectancy gains that we see today in the 1940s. They reaffirmed them in the 60s and the 70s. Nothing that we're seeing in terms of life expectancy caught anyone by surprise. The baby boom was not a bust. It was a baby boom followed by another generation that was even larger than the baby boom. So demographically, we're in a very different situation than, say, Japan. But let me return to the trust fund. It is absolutely true that the baby boomers' pre-funded retirement should have lasted to 2060, which is when the baby boom generation will primarily have passed away. So everything was done in 1983 to make it to 2060. And since 1983 till now, that number has moved in at an alarming rate. This does not mean that your benefits go to zero. This means that the pre-funding is gone, which means that the money that comes in is all that there is to go out. Social Security can't contribute to the deficit or debt. It has no borrowing authority. So the question is, what happened that these actuaries who get like everything right, what is it that they didn't see? And the answer, as in many things, is the billionaires. What they didn't see coming is that in the 80s, we see what economists call the Great Divergence, where productivity continues to go up and up and up. A worker today produces far more goods and services than a worker in the 1990s, 1980s, 1970s, certainly the 1940s and 30s. So wages used to keep up with productivity. So that meant that workers were getting the wealth that they create, because all wealth is created by labor. In the 1980s, they were like, hey, what if we actually just stole the workers' labor and we took it? And there's a great divergence. Productivity keeps going up, but wages stay stagnant. And what that means, all of the gains of the economy have gone to a tiny minority in this country, less than 1,000 billionaires. So that's the problem. But I want to make
So
it
wages are the problem, and that's such an important point, because our Social Security is a percentage of our wages. If the wages go down, the Social Security dollars go down, and what we really need is a better economy for everybody. And that's a really interesting thing, because the Social Security being linked to our own wages and the things that we earn is not something that we often hear enough about. Let's expand the conversation. Why does Social Security Works also care about things like lowering prescription drug prices? What are the edges of the goals, if you will, that your organization works on, and why does it choose those specific additional issues in addition to Social Security?
Definitely going to answer that. And I want to, though, make sure that your viewers understand the most critical thing. So the billionaires stole all of the gains of the economy. But the problem is Social Security itself has a funding structure that is broken, and it was set up that way, and we need to fix it. People don't pay in on 100% of their income. There is a cap on what people pay in. And it's right, it goes up every year, but right now it's $184,500. So that means the vast majority of the American people pay in on 100% of their income. But for the ultra wealthy, they only pay in on a tiny percentage of their income. So the problem is all the gains in the economy have gone to people above the cap. So Elon Musk does not pay in on all of his income while a minimum wage worker does. That's how the billionaires stole 30 years of Social Security's pre-funded baby boom trust fund. And that is so easy to solve. So all of the, it's running out of money, it's going, all of that is false. The only thing that matters is that billionaires don't pay in on all of their income. All we have to do is have billionaires pay in on all of their income, earned and unearned, and then there's no benefit cut in 2032, which otherwise there'd be a 22% benefit cut in 2032. In the next presidency, 70 million-ish, that's not all, they're not all going to be hit in the same way, but tens of millions of people will lose 22% of their income. And for millions of people, that will put them into poverty if they're not already in poverty. It will be cataclysmic. And the question that we have to ask is, do we allow that to happen? Do we allow the billionaires to just skate, even though they are the problem? And we make the working people take the hit? Or do we have billionaires just pay the same rate as the minimum wage workers and all the rest of us? And then we can expand benefits for everyone. So it's really simple. And the whole question around Social Security is to try to confuse people. I gave you a lot of information, but if you just remember that billionaires stole Social Security's future, and so billionaires are the problem, and all we have to do is get them to pay the same rate. Now, to your question of how do we choose, a lot of it is guided by Francis Perkins' the Social Security Act that FDR signed into law. When he signed it into law in 1935, he said, this is a cornerstone on which we're building a system, to paraphrase, of economic security for everyone. And every generation has to do their part. But the ideas of the New Deal come from Eugene Debs and social movements, democratic socialists pushing for a society that works for the people and not the billionaires. So the edges of our policies are defined by what is creating an economy that works for the people and not for the billionaires. So lowering prescription drug prices, pharma and the billionaires and Wall Street that back it. This is one of the greatest cash grabs that's ever been perpetrated on anyone ever. The US taxpayers pay to develop the drugs. GLP-1s were created with 100% taxpayer money. But then we allow ourselves to give those assets away to these pharmaceutical corporations who then turn around and charge us the highest drug prices in the world. The magnitude of the ripoff is enormous. And also for folks on fixed income, so that means people who are relying on their Social Security benefits, their income's not going to go up, right? That's what they have to work with. And when you have drug prices going up 10, 12, 15, 20% a year, even though a lot of drug prices, seniors aren't exposed to all of them because we do have Medicare and some drugs in the Part D system, the prices going up still bankrupt people. Just like Medicare Advantage, privatized Medicare, again, is just the billionaires sticking their blood funnel into programs that work for the people to extract money so that you have people who are delayed and denied healthcare to death. No one can have economic security if they're just one illness or injury away from bankruptcy. That's impossible to have economic security. So all of our work is guided by creating that ever-expanding system of economic security for everyone.
And how does SocialSecurityWorks go about achieving its goals? Is it a membership organization? Do you lobby Congress? Do you back legislation? What are the ways in which you work to make real the goals that you're seeking?
Yes. All of that and more. So yeah, we have a membership program. We have a giant email list with millions of people on it. And then some of those people become dues-paying members. We have a PAC that does electoral work. We definitely lobby Congress and push for legislation. I have my master's in policy, so I write policy as well. Nancy Altman literally wrote the books on Social Security. Most of the Social Security expansion policy that you're seeing, that you'll ever see at some point, Nancy Altman and SocialSecurityWorks. It was our pen had a mighty role in the creation of that. Medicare drug price negotiation, that is one of my biggest things that I fought for, and we won. That included working on the policy itself, working through multiple Congresses, building a grassroots movement around getting Medicare drug price negotiation, turning that into a political issue so that the saliency was really obvious to all of the politicians why they should vote for it. I have the scars to show how brutal these battles were, finding the money so that we could push it out into the field, so that we could have this massive push right to get Medicare drug price negotiation across the finish line, being able to take on pharma Dems who drilled holes in the Medicare drug price negotiation and take them on and throw them out of Congress, primary them out of Congress to send a message to others saying, this is what happens if you touch our drug price negotiation. And all of that together is what it takes to get social policy change. So the answer has to be all of the above, but most importantly, it's finding and working with allies and organizations to build power horizontally. And so we can be nimble and a little bit of a tip of the spear, but we need to pile in the unions and all the membership organizations, all the netroots, everybody come on in, we're getting this one across the finish line, and we do. So we need a countervailing weight of extraordinary strength. And it has to be ever evolving, because every time we find something, the billionaires come in and they try to destroy it, because they know that controlling the story is how you control people. If you control what people see and learn and believe, then you control the people.
Give out the website for SocialSecurityWorks, where people can also follow you also on social media.
Yep, SocialSecurityWorks.org is our website. You can check out, we got tons of resources there. You can sign our petition to expand Social Security. Then you'll get our emails, read them. If you want, ignore them. You don't have to open all of them. You don't have to give money every time we ask, but we will ask. And you just do what you can, but it also keeps you right up to date. On social media, we're Social Security Works on all of the platforms. And so just getting organized is the most important thing, because one person alone, they have an immense power. All power comes from the people. All wealth is created by the people. We have all the tools that we need to create the society and the world that we want. We just have to, understand and believe that. And the best way to do that is to get organized, stand with your neighbors, with your community. And once you do that, you feel our power. And when the people are united and organized, the billionaires tremble, because they know that we have all the power. We can make the change that we want to see. There's no cavalry coming, which seems scary until you remember that that means that we build the world that we want. A world where the billionaires don't get everything. A world that works for working people who create all wealth in all societies, works for working people who have all the power. All power comes from the people. So getting organized is the key to doing that. One step you could take is joining us at Social Security Works, SocialSecurityWorks.org, or on social media, just Social Security Works.
I want to thank you so much, Alex, for joining us today. Good luck to you. Really appreciate the time you've spent with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
My guest has been Alex Lawson, Executive Director of Social Security Works, and this is Rising Up for Justice. I'm Sonali Kolhatkar, host and executive producer of this weekly half-hour series, exclusive to viewers of Free Speech TV and subscribers of my long-standing program, Rising Up with Sonali. You can find out more at risingupwithsonali.com.